Who do you think is the person posing as Zeref? And do you think many people in Fairy Tail are gonna die soon? In light of 298 and 299 of Fairy Tail being side stories, I decided I'm gonna talk a little bit about predictions about Fairy Tail, the upcoming stuff, what's going to happen, and some predictions of characters that have been around for a while, some really wild ones, and you're probably gonna be like, what the heck? So let's start off with it. I want to talk a little bit about the real Zeref that we've seen thus far from, you know, even Tenrojima and whatnot. Right here, I'm going to lay it on you big time. I got a feeling that that Zeref in particular is not the real Zeref, and that is actually, get ready for this, Romeo from the future. Romeo, I'm talking about Mikao's son. First of all, the resemblance of both of them is, you know, pretty uncanny. That looks like what he would look like when he gets older, but that's just the small stuff. I got a feeling that there's going to be a lot of war and massacre in the future coming up, like literally after this tournament. And that is what becomes of basically Romeo. He becomes somewhat evil and, you know, he does a lot of things, but then over time, maybe in the future, he became more sane, I guess. And I have a feeling that he traveled back in time to try to prevent a lot of the stuff that was going down. And possibly he traveled a little too far into the distant past. And that's why he came before Tenrojima, you know, before Acnologia showed up and whatnot. And that's why he was probably crying that Natsu still wasn't strong enough to even defeat him, because whatever threat Fairy Tail is going to face in the future, if Natsu isn't able to defeat this Zeref guy, then what makes you think he's going to be able to defeat that threat? It sounds crazy, but to be honest with you, I think it's possible, because first of all, Romeo would definitely cry for Natsu. He looks up to him. You know, that's to him his mentor and his role model. And we've seen Zeref crying for no reason, and he seemingly knows Natsu for some reason, even though Natsu has no idea who the heck this is. And a lot of people have been talking about time travel. That's kind of where it started coming into my mind, the possibilities, because of the recent events with this Zeref wannabe that we see, you know, prowling around. People saying that that could be Levi. Doubtful that it's Levi, because it's just like, if she has power that is, you know, measurable to this Zeref guy that we've seen, then I think it's a big possibility that that person is actually, get this, a future Lucy that came back to the right time to stop with whatever was going to happen. Now you're thinking, wait, but Lucy's weak. She's weak now, but we all know that Lucy has the potential to eventually get up there to, like, you know, power, because she's slowly but surely been becoming a good mage, and the series has only been going, aside from the 7-year time skip, you know, it's only been going for a short amount of time. She's only been doing this, so eventually it's plausible to say that she could get up there one day to a very strong power with all her mages, you know, everything, her celestial wizards and whatnot, getting her to a point where she's just incredibly strong. So as far as the power goes, that's a possibility. A lot of people were theorizing that that could be Lucy's mother. It was possible, but then I thought, why would Lucy's mother be watching a Wendy battle and crying for Natsu when she has no idea who they are? Think about that. So I think definitely the Zeref wannabe is Lucy from the future, and I definitely got to say that I think the Zeref we've seen thus far that is supposedly the evil and mighty Zeref was actually Romeo from the future. This Arcadios guy that he has Yukino, you know, thinking that he's trying to save the world, I think he's fooling her. I think what he is trying to do is arise the real Zeref, and the Zeref we've seen thus far was just a fake, because remember, he suddenly showed up without having to do everything that they were trying to do to revive him when it all failed. He suddenly showed up, like, where the heck did he come from? So I definitely say that the Zeref we've seen thus far is possibly Romeo from the future that came back in time to stop whatever was going to happen, but he came too early. The Zeref we've seen now, the Zeref wannabe with the hood, I think is definitely a future Lucy that came back at the right time to stop whatever was going to happen. Now let's go on to the dragons. I definitely said the dragons, you know how Godzilla showed up at the dragon graveyard? There's a big possibility that the dragons got sent to this torn down future, and this is the bones of the ones from that future. What if the dragons were already destroyed at a specific time in the future, and there was a time swap with all the dragons, so that way the dragons would be dead at this time, and they would just go to a dead future where they couldn't do anything, and they're possibly powerless to stop whatever was going to happen in the future, or whatever was going on in the future. So I definitely say that our dragons, probably on that fated day, along with Lucy's mom, got sent to the future, and that's what happened, why the dragons are gone, but seemingly the bones of them are there, because possibly the ones that were dead were just swapped with them, and it's possible that Lucy's mom got sent to the future as well, and maybe that's the whole situation with that. all in all, some crazy predictions. You're probably thinking, what's wrong with you, ForneverWorld? But to be honest with you, the Romeo thing has been in my mind for a while. He looks a lot like Zeref, you know, and then you start piecing things together. Why was he crying for Natsu? Now we got this whole theory with time travel going on. And from what I've heard, Hiro Mashima, which he's used a lot of Master as far as influence for Fairy Tail, because that was his previous work, he's used a lot of it in it. And I heard that there's some time travel that happened in Master, so it's safe to assume that he could possibly use it with this particular series. And definitely, I think that all of this is what's going to happen. Arcadios is trying to summon the real Zeref. He's probably going to be the threat that they have to face. I believe the Zeref we've seen thus far is actually Romeo from the future, and the Zeref wannabe with the hoodie is Lucy from the future. Let me know what you think about all this, though. Do you think that that's all going to happen? I definitely say that in this future timeline, a lot of people died. I definitely say at least Godzilla died, because when Levy was writing, she said my love, and it's definitely, that's the one that she wants, Godzilla. So I definitely say that Godzilla dies. You know, quite a few people are going to die. Probably Makarov. I wouldn't be surprised. Gildarts, Loxus, all the strongest die, which leaves them with no hope. That's why Levy is there crying with, like, you know, pretty much sad eyes, because she can't do much, and they don't have nobody strong enough to take on what is, you know, about to arise for them and to help them out in the future. But all in all, what do you think about all of this? Do you think this is what's going to come to pass? And I also believe that this tournament, indeed, it was written in a way, because people have been complaining about the tournament. I think for the most part, it was just a trivial tournament to get things going, to get the mystery going, because you can't have a plot without having a setting, and this tournament was just really never meant to be taken serious. It was put to build up Fairy Tail once again to that stature of grandness where they think they're unstoppable. It made a lot of people hate a lot of these characters for that reason, because it was like, oh, well, you know, nobody likes to see perfection, and in the eyes of the viewers, it's looking like Natsu's perfect. You know, he defeats 2 people in Dragon Force mode. You know, it just looked OP, but that was a setup to make it look like these characters can never be defeated, only for later what's to come, where they're gonna face probably the true Zeref. And I also think that they definitely are gonna win this tournament, based on the way they were talking about how we thought we would always win, and that final battle was a tough one that day when Levy was writing that. I definitely say that Fairy Tail is gonna win this tournament, and that's probably foreshadowing of it right there, and just to once again build up that Fairy Tail is so awesome, they're so strong, and they will fall soon. But that's all I have for this prediction. Crazy stuff going on. You're probably thinking I'm a madman, but that's fine, because, you know, did you predict that Madara found Obito? As always, people, I'm ForneverWorld, and have an awesome day.